I'm not encouraging, let's do a blow by blow. No.
There's none of that in my relationship anymore. I really appreciate
What I am open to exploring is like, sex drive goes down and what does that look like? And
Oh yeah, for sure. No, we do talk about that. And like last time we did talk about orgasms and how, because some of the medications we take affect all of that. So
right.
Welcome to the MenoPosse show, where we're talking about change for the better. And when we say change, we mean that change, the one that comes with perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. The ups, the downs, the all-arounds. We're just real women talking about the real things that we're dealing with. I'm Carrie, and I'm in menopause.
I'm Danielle, and I am starting my 9th month of menopause, and also starting it in my most favorite month, which tomorrow is October. So yay!
And I'm Christy, and I am probably 3-4 years postmenopausal.
All right, and we are your MenoPosse.
MenoPosse!
Today we've got our dear friend Elena on the show. Hello, Elena. We will, I promise, introduce you properly in a moment, but just to say off the top, we're so glad that you're here.
Yes.
So thank you for those of you who are tuning in. We appreciate you listening. And just before we dive in case you haven't, this is your first show, a quick disclaimer. We're generally not safe for work. We cuss and we call body parts by their real names, so just consider yourself warned. And also, we're just a reminder that we're normal people talking about our menopause stories and some of the research that we found. We're not doctors, so please don't take anything we say as medical advice. Definitely talk to your doctor about any concerns. Okay.
Yeah. And on a side note too, we don't say the word diarrhea. We replace that with shopping. So I just want to remind listeners, if you're new to the show. Yes.
I don't like Danielle talking about her shopping trips. She shops when she gets stressed out.
Yeah, it's true. We learned that last episode.
Well, speaking of shopping or other health concerns, Danielle, how are things going over there?
Well, I'm doing in terms of my health, doing fantastic. I think honestly, my HRT is finally mellowed out. I feel like I'm on the right amount of everything. Even with the amount of stress I'm having right now, I'm feeling pretty good. And that includes even drinking alcohol, which I did try to cut down on. And then it's been a crazy couple of weeks. So I'll get back into cutting down on drinking, but I stuck with the getting rid of the caffeine. So I'm really down to just one shot of espresso in the morning, and then the rest is decaf. So I think that's really been helping. Yeah.
That's great. Did you have any withdrawals from the caffeine, or have you had any?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, it was also kind of hard to tell too, because I kind of stopped everything all at once. I think, remember when we had a listener suggest maybe cutting out bread. And so I was trying to do less gluten, no caffeine, no alcohol, no sugar. I mean, it was like there was nothing to eat. So it was hard to tell if I was having withdrawal. Maybe I was just hungry. But everything is I'm feeling really good right now, and we'll get into the hoo-ha weather report, but now that it's starting to cool down a bit, I'll be walking with the ladies around the lake more often. So hopefully to get in 9 miles or so a week, which will be good.
Awesome. And your back is better?
My back is better. Yes. Today's actually the first day where it feels pretty decent. I did wake up with it really stiff, and I pulled a muscle last week, Elena, in my back. And so, so it's been a little painful. So I haven't been doing any exercising and fun stuff.
Well, last time we talked, you had put the old block on the mother-in-law's phone.
Oh my gosh, y'all. You're not even going to believe what happened.
Wow, I've missed a lot.
Oh, Elena.
You're not even going to believe what happened. So she, yes, the last time we had an episode, I had put the block on her, and I had unblocked her the next day, and by the end of the week, she was back in the hospital. She had a compression fracture in her spine.
Oh
God.
So she had to get surgery on her back where they put a little bit of cement in the fracture. Like with kind of, I guess it's like with a needle, and they put a little bit of like the cement-ish. It's not real cement, but it's, like medical cement, and it goes into the fracture and it relieves the pressure from the vertebrae. So it's supposed to be less painful or take a lot of the pain away. So she has done that, but because her muscles have atrophied, I can never say it. Atrophied.
Got it.
Atrophied. Yeah. Menopause moment. One of her left foot is it won't go flat. It's kind of like on its side. So she is not standing. So they have decided to put her back into rehabilitation. And I just wanted to clarify, in the last episode, I kept saying rehab. She's not going into rehab for like drugs or alcohol. She's going into rehab for as an elderly person that like trying to get her to walk again, or at least like use her walker or use her leg muscles. Right now, she is just in bed. And if we can't get her out of bed, that it's not a good thing, because you just can't live like that. The body doesn't want to live like that.
Right.
So
how did she get a compression fracture if she's not mobile and moving around? How does that happen?
So she has claimed that she fell out of the bed, or that she fell out of her wheelchair. So we don't know we actually don't know which one it is, or if it's just a fracture that has been there, and because she's been laying in bed, it just over time, they finally discovered she had a fracture there. We're not sure. We're not sure. And she doesn't have dementia, but like we can't get a straight answer from her,
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's kind of where we're at with my mother-in-law.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, any other news or updates to get out there to the world?
Well, there's so much that's happened.
You can't say anything nice. Don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
There's a general feeling at the moment.
But if we want to move on to menopause moments, so this is really funny. So the last episode, I had told my meatball story. And so since that night when I forgot to put salt in the meatballs, I was making vegan meatballs for my neighbor and regular meatballs for everybody else. And I forgot to put salt in it. And so they weren't that good. I have literally oversalted every single thing I cooked now for the last 2 weeks. It's like, whoa, that's way too much salt.
That's funny.
Yeah. Now I'm going to have some kind of system like I have for my medications. Like, okay, I already put salt in. I don't need to put extra salt in.
Well, if anybody wants that delicious meatball recipe with salt, we put the recipe up in last week's show notes. So head over to the MenoPosse.show and find episode 19, and you can enjoy Danielle's meatballs. The Nana's meatballs. Yes, I'm doing the Italian hand. I don't know why.
Yes. My husband's Italian.
Balls. Okay, I'll stop. Okay. Well, I promised a better introduction of our lovely guest, Elena Rego. She is a priestess of the holy, has been a practicing witch for nearly 3 decades, rooted in animism, ritual, and feminine spirituality. Her work guides women into deeper relationships with their bodies, cycles, and the living cosmos. Through her teachings and holy witchery, she weaves together shamanism, feminism, and ancestral practices to help women reclaim sovereignty and embody the sacred in every season of life. She speaks to thresholds such as menopause as portals into deeper spiritual authority, power, and wholeness. Elena, holy shit, that is a lot to unpack.
And I'm so excited. Yes. How awesome.
Amazing. And we're going to ask you questions about that. We're going to ask you questions about your menopause journey. We're going to ask you a whole lot of questions, but we have to just drop that in there as a teaser because first it's time for Danielle, you know it.
The hoo-ha weather report.
Hoo-ha. Elena, as our honored guest, we go to you first for the weather. I
love that you do this. Now? I am at home right now. I'm in Idlewild, California. And we had a high of 70 today. So fall has arrived. It's bright and beautiful. And I'm looking out the window and super crisp. It's perfect. This is my favorite time of the year.
Are the leaves already kind of starting to turn?
The leaves are starting to turn. It's really, and we don't have a lot of leaves that turn here because most of our trees are evergreen, but the ones that are just really, they're spectacular. So this is it. This is like the perfect weather up here.
I love that.
Yeah.
Danielle, you said it's cooling down a little in Georgia.
Yes, I feel the same way. We're finally getting like the perfect weather in Georgia. For this week, it's going to be in the high 50s in the morning, which is perfect for walking around the lake. And then the high is going to be in the mid 70s. And so in a couple of weeks, the leaves will start to change and the plants will start to die. We have banana plants in our yard, so they're going to start to die. And it's okay. They come back full force in the spring, and then they're very, very tall by the end of the summer. So, yeah. But I'm excited for all the foliage in the backyard to die because we are missing about 150 of Gus's balls. They're literally in these bushes and plants and foliage everywhere. So when everything dies, we're going to suddenly find all these neon yellow and purple balls, tennis balls everywhere.
You need to get one of those, what are those little ball picker uppers?
Yeah. Pound on it and scoops up the ball.
Makes it easier.
Great idea. Yeah, that'd be perfect for him.
Sissy, how's your misery factor in Texas?
Well, we're not in the 70s yet. We're still in the mid 80s, which is 10 degrees cooler than we were. So it's better. It's a little drier, not as humid, and cooling down into the upper 60s at night. So,
nice.
And it's, because we've had so much rain this summer, steady rain, like, each week or every 2 weeks, we've had at least a rain. Most of the grass is still green and all of that. And so I'm just starting to see some of the trees starting to turn color and drop some leaves. So still pretty early for us for that, but just a little bit of a hint that it's coming.
Or is this fake fall and then you're going to get like really hot Texas weather for like a week or something in October?
That is always a possibility. Yes, for sure.
And the real tragedy of the weather getting cooler this time of year, or at least less miserably hot, is my allergies are so bad. I can't be outside.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting inside while it's 80 something degrees. I'm like, I really, really, really want to go for a walk or go sit on the back patio and read a book. And that I will be needing to shove a Kleenex up my nose if that's the case. Buy stocking Kleenex because I'm going through them.
Wow.
Okay. Let's get to the good stuff. Just for context. Elena, I think I first met you in maybe 2013 or somewhere in that era. So at least 10 years. I've known you at least 10 years.
At least.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we were talking ahead of the show. Like I've run into your husband as a colleague of mine, and we've circulated in a lot of the same conferences and events and friends' houses over the years. And I've just loved I've always enjoyed chatting with you. And I remember a conversation we had, I think we were in Miami, and this was the first time you really talked to me about being a witch and kind of what all that means. And then some of your religious background and upbringing and going into that. And I just want to, for people that don't know you and hear, clutching their pearls because they hear the word witch, or that are running for the hills, scared or whatever. I just want to say up top, like, what a beautiful soul you are. And I mean that so sincerely. And I'm just looking forward to this whole conversation and you sharing. So now I'll stop talking and start asking you questions so we can actually hear from you. But maybe if you could just kind of start with a background of how you got into witchery, like what's that look like for you? And then we'll go into some different avenues from there.
I mean, that could be a long conversation. Hi. Witchery. I think the somewhat short answer to that is that I've always been really drawn to religion and spirituality. And I grew up in a pretty eclectic household because my parents were Cuban refugees. And so my father, if you know anything about Cuba, those of you out there, you can certainly Google this. Yes, Catholicism, but also there's just a lot of, because of the slave trade, there was a lot of mixture of Yoruban spirituality and traditions kind of mashed in with Catholicism. And so my father was a practitioner of Santeria. So there was a lot of saints in our home. There were altars in our home. There was a sense that religion and God was much more magical than most of us kind of get in the United States. But it was also a very patriarchal lens. And so the men in our family were part of that, but the women weren't. There was this separation. It was an odd thing, but I was always hungry for it. I was curious for it. And then when I got into college, you kind of like, I had been going to a Christian school, private school all my life. And when I got to college, it was like, oh, women's study and psychology and all these things that were taboo growing up with Christian education. And I just found a lens through which accessing God that reflected my body as a woman, which was very foreign to anything that I had ever experienced before. And I was just sold. And then, yes, witchcraft or witch is a really inflammatory word. And as I was younger, it was like, oh, I don't want to offend people. Now I'm just I'm old. And it's like, be scared. It's fine. I don't, I'm not here to make you feel better, which is part of menopause, by the way, as you
all. That's where I'm at right now too. I just don't give a shit anymore.
No, listen, spirituality is universal. And I think that it really, at its core, is an expression of how we are intrinsically motivated to connect with each other, with something bigger than us, with our environment. And witchcraft is a lens through which it's just a really empowered lens where I'm a co-creator with everything that exists in terms of my life, your life, our interaction. And yeah, there's spells, but you have prayers. It's kind of, it's a lens. I think that's probably the most accessible definition I can give you.
Yeah. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, and I want to know how all of that plays into your perimenopause and menopausal journey, but maybe just start with where are you in that journey?
I don't know if it's official. I'm probably at the late stages of perimenopause. So, and now as we get more educated, like I know, I've been in this for quite a long time, right? I'm still bleeding, but it's, it's like a glorified version of maybe spotting, if that. So I don't know how open you want to be about all that, but really it's just, I'm not regular, but I'm still sort of bleeding. And that started, I'm 53, about to turn 54. So that started around the time I turned 50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you was it just like gradual? And then one day you're like, oh, this is not, I guess I haven't had a regular cycle in a while. Or was it more like, whoa, something, my body is betraying me?
No. Was it gradual? Yeah, it was gradual. I mean, I think I've been pretty connected to my cycle for most of my life. And I have been clockwork my entire life. So I didn't have, and I was really blessed with not having a whole lot of difficulty or challenges. Like sometimes I'd go through phases for years where, I'm getting a little moody, it's coming. Or oh, all I want to do is eat potato chips, it's coming. Like, I would notice that over time, certain things would just change, but I knew that I was clear about what was happening. Mm-hmm. And in my 40s, there was another like level of change, but because I was cycling regularly, it just didn't ping for me. Mm-hmm. But I started to accumulate symptoms. Do you know what I'm saying? So it started with, around the time that I'm supposed to be ovulating, suddenly I'm having heart palpitations, or suddenly now I'm not sleeping anymore, or right before I start, a lot of anxiety. So like I attributed it to PMS, but now looking back at that trajectory, it was just like, it just started to kind of cascade in. Mm-hmm. And it really wasn't until closer to 50, like at 48, 49, when all of a sudden it was like, was that a hot flash? And then that's what kind of triggered the, oh shit, is this actually perimenopause and not? And at the time we weren't having all these amazing conversations. I mean, I'm 53. So what, 6 years ago? No, 4 or 5 years ago is when I started to actually notice, but I probably would have been a little bit more clued in had there been this ongoing conversation that we're finding, especially all over the internet. Yeah.
Did the women in your family, like, was that ever a conversation, or they're being transparent when they were that age?
Transparent in that, I mean, looking back now, and I don't have a recollection of, and I can probably do the math. When I was in high school, my mom was going through menopause, and I mean, she was a raging, seething beast a lot. And so it was this, you got to walk out. We walk in the house and my dad would give us all a look and we'd be like, bye-bye. And we would leave the house. Like, so there was just this awareness that she was going through some sort of change, but there wasn't a whole lot of conversation around. The only conversation I remember was her not sure if she should do hormone replacement therapy because there was all of this research around, you're going to get cancer, you're going to have a heart attack, you're going to, and my mother had some issues with blood clotting at some point in her life. And so she had opted not to. So that was the extent of it. And she died, she died just a few years ago, but she died of Alzheimer's complications. And so before she was ill, I wasn't anywhere into that process that I was aware of. So there was we just never had that kind of conversation. Yeah. And I didn't really have other women in my life. In other words, in terms of family, because we were just a really nuclear family here in the United States, and everyone else has been either in other countries or in Cuba. And so, in terms of family conversation, there wasn't a whole lot of that. Yeah.
That seems to be a pretty common trend. Just like what you said earlier, like people weren't talking about it as much. And this kind of historical shame that's been associated with women's bodies and our cycles and our healthcare and all of that. So it's just sort of, you tuck it down and maybe don't shout it on a podcast.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
we just grin and bear it, go through the change.
And how confusing. Like, I mean, I know that once I started talking to a doctor, I realized, I had all kinds of shit going on with my body that I didn't know to attribute to hormones, or so they're just being in the dark about what we're dealing with. And also I'm sure attributing it to, like, I'm just getting old, everything hurts, I'm just getting old, I can't think straight, I'm just getting old, without really understanding that it fell under this umbrella of, no, you're going through a massive physical transition.
This is our second puberty.
I love that. I saw you say that on one of your other episodes. I was like, I really love this. I'm going to use that. That's good.
The idea of being like, almost, this is our, we're not larvae, but we're like caterpillars, and we're larvae right now. But we're caterpillars, and we're going to turn into butterflies when we finally get through this.
It's a massive, rite of passage. It's a huge threshold for transformation.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, wouldn't it be nice if we could just cocoon ourselves for a few years, just like cocoon ourselves and just, avoid the masses and avoid all the symptoms and just burst out and you're like, I'm past it.
Yeah.
It'd be so nice.
Yeah. Did you have any weird symptoms, Elena? Were you like, what the heck is happening with
I think the weirdest was
eyelids? It's menopause?
Itchy. We'll talk about the itchy. I don't know that I had the itchy. I had like the frozen shoulder situation.
You did?
Yeah. And it was like,
I guess on that, it had that too.
and I thought, what did you wake up and I'm like, why does this hurt? Why does it hurt to move? Why is all of a sudden, my range of motion? I thought maybe I had injured myself, but it would go on for like 6 months and then go away. And then I was just like, I'm not going to go to the doctor because I hurt myself. And so I would just like stretch it out. But that was really strange. The heart palpitations, I went to the doctor. I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. Suddenly I've got some cardiovascular issue, and they did all these tests and nothing was wrong with me. So it was like these things that on their own could be super anxiety producing, like, oh shit, something is deeply wrong with me. But the itchy I didn't get. I got a lot of, I got twitchy. Like and I don't know, it was just my nervous system is a little off. And so I'd get like eye twitch, or I'd get like a little weird tick in my, and part of that I thought was this anxiety. Am I now suddenly having an anxiety disorder? What's happening? And then I was just in pain all the time.
Yeah.
Everything was sore. My joints were sore. And I hated that I kept catching myself saying, oh, I'm just getting older. Is this what it is? Oh God, I'm 40. Is this what's happening? Am I going to die? Because, oh my God, I'm old.
Right. Like if you feel like this at 40 or 45, like what are you going to feel like when you're 80 or 85? It's like, I'm ready to just feel better, back pain. Every morning I wake up and all right, what's going to hurt today?
And the brain fog. And
brain fog. Yeah.
Losing words. Every once in a while it comes back. And then let's get a little spicy. Suddenly I woke up and I just didn't want to have sex anymore. Like it was gone. Like, and it wasn't even I'm not in the mood. It wasn't even that. It was like, I felt like a whole portion of my brain had been just removed because I couldn't even get into the, if you have a little fantasy, you can get yourself a little, not like I couldn't even. It was really bizarre. And that was a little alarming.
Yeah. Yeah. Were any of the doctors that you talked to, it sounds like you didn't go to the doctor for something like the frozen shoulder, but did any of them say, you might be?
No, and full disclosure, John and I both have been pretty fortunate. We haven't had a whole lot of health issues in our lives. And so we have insurance, we've got a doctor, but I mean, most of the time I just kind of move myself through things. It wasn't until I had the hot flashes when I thought, oh, this might be this, that I did. And, and then I would get, of course you're in perimenopause. The doctors that I've seen, at least available to me through my insurance, weren't very up on HRT and what that might mean. And it's possible, but your insurance may not cover it. And so I got not a whole lot of friction, but I got enough friction in the beginning where I said, I'm just going to do this outside of my insurance process. And luckily, not that I'm like a representative of anybody, but there are quite a few places online that hook you up with a doctor and you pay out of pocket. They're not cheap, but I felt like I wanted to have access to someone who was up on the research. And so I ended up going that route. Yeah.
Are you on HRT then?
I'm on HRT. So I do progesterone, estrogen cream and DHEA. I'd like to play with testosterone, but I'm not there yet. Yeah.
Okay. Talk about DHEA, because that's not one that we've really talked about.
DHEA is a precursor to testosterone.
Okay.
And you can, you still need a prescription for it, but it's easier to get than testosterone through the method that I've got. Insurance is less likely to actually cover testosterone for you. So you'd have to pay for it out of pocket. For women.
Well, there aren't any studies. There aren't any good studies that quote unquote support it, even though we know
our body naturally produce it.
But there aren't any good studies that support it. And so,
right. I have loved it. It's been great for energy. It's been great for
your sex drive, right?
The sex drive, energy, and it's hard now. I'm taking 3 things, so it's hard to distinguish one from the other. But overall, I feel like it's also part of what makes the brain just kind of feel like it's coming back online.
Yeah.
I made a mistake a while back. This is about a year in, or maybe a half a year into my HRT treatment. I just misread. I don't know what I was doing, the prescription, and I was taking double the dose of DHEA. And let me tell you.
Oh no.
I kind of get it. I get the
rage?
part of being well, not even rage. Like I just wanted to conquer the world. Like I was just on fire. And when I talked to my doctor, she's like, you need to pull back on that because yes, I got extra hairs on my chin. Like it was, I'm like basically inadvertently transitioning. However, I felt like, even though it's probably not true, I felt like I had a taste of what it is to be a man. And I thought, oh my God, like I can just do everything. It was really kind of amazing, I have to say. Wow. I routed it back, so I'm not doing that anymore. But it was interesting.
Well, that's
cool. Yeah.
I was on DHEA for about 2 months. This was, let's see, I was still in my apartment. So maybe 2021, I had started losing weight and not on purpose. And it was weird because like I've always had kind of a big booty and wear yoga pants a lot. And I noticed one day that my yoga pants were super saggy in the back. And I thought, that's not normal. That's kind of weird. And so I had around the same time I had an appointment with my doctor anyway. And so I mentioned it to her and she was doing blood work. So she said, let's do some extra tests. And she tested me and she came back and I had zero testosterone in my system. Like we have to have some testosterone as women because it helps us. I think it helps us process cholesterol and brain function and muscle mass and all of that. We have to have some. And so she put me on DHEA for about 2 months and then retested and my levels were close to normal. And then she said I didn't have to take it anymore. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I must have been on not the double dose that you were on, but
I mean, I don't know that I recommend it, but just as a little experiment, it was kind of amazing. Don't do this at home, kids.
Please talk to your doctor.
Yeah, don't do it.
This is just Elena's experience.
It was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Oh, well, it sounds like you've always, or you have this relationship with your body through the work that you do and just your spirituality and witchcraft. And maybe, can you talk about that? Like, what's the relationship between that and then the just sort of knowing of yourself?
Yeah. Trying to just gauge where to start. Been really fortunate that my introduction to this particular like strand of spirituality was very rooted in femininity and my feminine body. And so this idea around or this capacity or desire to connect with that pulse of life, because we're women, because I'm a woman, I have access to things like the cyclical nature of our bleeding, how that connects to the tides and the moon, how there is this clock that you've got going on in your body. And so it's a physical hormonal process, but it's also this beautiful like timekeeper that kind of keeps reminding you that you're part of something bigger, that you're part of something cyclical, that there's a metaphor, a spiritual metaphor there to be gleaned with. There's a time to grow, right? And there's a time to draw back or to die, right? Our our uterine lining grows and fills with blood. The moon grows into full moon. From the time that we're born until the time that we hit like maybe midlife, we're growing into something. And then there's this like cycle of diminishment that's reflected in your body, that's reflected in the moon, that's reflected in our life cycle. So there was this introduction into my life of this beautiful narrative around, oh, I'm actually part of something bigger and I can glean either mythology, story, or lessons, both with what's reflected in my body and what's going on with what's going on outside of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I love that. Oh, I'm starting to bleed, and now I'm starting to let things go. And what does that look like spiritually? What does that look like psychologically? Are there things that I'm really needing to let go emotionally or energetically or relationally as my body begins its own process of letting go? So while I was bleeding regularly, that was kind of the narrative that kind of wove through both what was going on physically and what was going on with me spiritually. And then you've got the entire arc of a woman's life where you're born and you're a little girl and you're not bleeding. You start to bleed, and that's like the fertile time of your life. And then we begin to descend. And I don't want to say it in this way, but to die, we're kind of like beginning to release a whole identity and a whole drive in our lives and becoming something else. And so when I think about menopause, it is a rite of passage. We're going through a massive threshold of transformation and becoming something else. And you see that reflected in the fact that women suddenly are asking, like, what now? Women in Western culture in droves, more than any other time in history, are like putting down marriages. They're also starting second, third, fourth careers. They're coming into, there's like several different versions of this on social media, but the I don't care club or the fuck it club or the, because suddenly we're not beholden to this identity that we've been given by society that's very limiting. You are in your fertile years. This is when you're most valuable. When you start to get old, you become more invisible because you're not valuable to the patriarchal system that says your job is to procreate, right? So in terms of menopause, yes, there's all of these physical issues that we have to contend with. And spiritually, part of what I've loved about it is that things are changing so quickly and so oddly that we're having to almost be, it's like my body's way of telling me, you need to be fully present with what's going on with you and the truth of right now in order to fully respond to it right now. And then in an hour, it's going to be something different. And there's something really spiritually empowering about learning to just be in the present. Body becomes an incredible tool, an ally in helping you do that, especially now that we're now changing. So now who do I want to be? How do I feel right now? What's true in my body right now? How am I going to respond to myself right now? It creates the sense of like, let me self-reference before I check in with all the people that I take care of, all the things in the world that I have to do. It can be an incredibly grounding experience. It can also be an incredibly destabilizing experience because when you're lost in this process and you don't know what's going on, and the body's suddenly not functioning the way that I want and need it to, it can feel like a betrayal. Anyway, so like that. I don't know if I feel like I may have veered off.
No, not at all.
No, that is great.
I love the juxtaposition of the destabling versus the grounding. Like you have both. Like it gives you something to hold on to while you're in this rocky boat. And you don't know when the waves are coming and you don't know when it's going to be calm, but like it gives you, your spirituality gives you that grounding just to be mindful of where you are in this moment, in this time. Yeah.
Well, and to be clear, I think that this is important. This is why I also feel like this is the time in a woman's life where we're just warriors, because there is a world where things that need to be burned to the ground. And we're experiencing that, right? You have to let things go. Your body's not working the way it used to. If you had kids, they're out of the house or they're about to launch, like things are ending legitimately that need to in order for you to launch into something else. And at no point is that process ever easy, right? There's grief involved, there's mourning involved, but there's also the possibility of like, well, what now? Who am I now? And who can I be now? Now that I don't care as much, how much more free am I to, to do all the things? Or not do anything because I don't want to do anything anymore. Right. So there is that, there's that push and pull. There's polarity there, but that's, I think, really rich.
I can already tell you that when this podcast comes out, I'm going to go back and listen to your answer to that question about 8 times.
Did you get it though? Was it clear?
Yes. There's a lot to
beautiful.
There, and I love that. I love the cyclical being sort of this clock and the reminder to, even though I don't have a monthly cycle anymore, but still the reminder to, on a regular basis, let things go. And embrace new things. And I love that whole thing. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Me too.
Speaking of letting some things go and embracing other things, you're an entrepreneur, and maybe could you share like a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey, and then eventually like what is it that you're doing now?
Oh.
What did you warrior path?
God, I don't even know anymore. I feel like it's been lifetimes. I have been an entrepreneur for a long time. I don't even remember when I started. Many different things, many different hats, many different attempts at doing different things. Currently, and for the last 8 years, it started out as something called the Witch's Box, totally on brand, and it has evolved into the Holy Witch. So you can find me at theholywitch.com. But basically, it's let me start with, I love that I'm an entrepreneur. I think all of us, right? We've done this. There's something kind of renegade about doing it on your own and figuring it out as you go. And I am an entrepreneur basically because I just don't have the capacity to work for anybody else, and I don't have a skill set I just don't. And so just to give you a quick, like, there's not even an origin story other than I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had to figure something out. So I've worked in tech, I've worked in content, I've worked in social media, marketing. And then for a while I worked for a food magazine as an editor. And now I just teach this. And so not that I just teach this to diminish it, but basically I'm an online teacher and I lead rituals and classes for women, and without actually intending to, really, in our age bracket, how to reconnect with themselves as sovereign women with agency, basically, through the lens of witchcraft, through the lens of spirituality. And I think I finally kind of found my groove.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it part of that like finding community, or is that a separate?
No, that's separate. I mean, community is certainly important, but I think I found my groove because I was just never able to work in an environment where it wasn't something that I personally created and I personally believed in. And so while I was tripping around entrepreneurship, doing online social media marketing for other people, it was a job to do to get money. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a calling. It wasn't purpose driven. It was just a way to create a business that would bring in money. And so for the last 8 years, I feel like as this business has evolved for me, it has really become just a refinement in me being clear about this is just my purpose in life. And the fact that that's delivered through the lens and the structure of being an entrepreneur and having my own business, just at this point happens to be just coincidental to, so I think when we met, I was much more entrenched in or moving towards, I'm an entrepreneur and being part of that culture. And now I'm just a teacher, right? And it just happens that the business it's me. I own it and I run it, and
So when I met you, and I'm not sure on the timeline of you started Witch's Box 8 years ago?
2017.
Okay. Yeah. And then before that, you had another subscription box, the Pampered Period.
The Pampered Period.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Look at that.
For the longest time, I had you in my phone as Elena Pampered the JJ.
Pampered JJ.
Oh my God.
Okay, talk about. So, I mean, that was wholly yours, right? That wasn't somebody else.
A partnership with my cousin and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was I want to know, what was the Pampered Period?
She came to me and she's like, wouldn't it be an amazing idea because I think at the time subscription boxes had already started, but they were just kind of kicking off. And she said, wouldn't it be amazing? Because she knew that I had an interest in periods, but she also thought like a Pampered Period, like people would get women would get a monthly box where we would just send them things to pamper them throughout their period. And I'm like, that's a great idea.
So nice.
And lovely. It didn't take off, but it was great because I'm like, this is a great business model, especially if you're bootstrapping or you don't have a whole lot of cash. we marketed on social media. People signed up and gave us their money, and then we used the money they gave us to send them boxes. So it helped kind of create the seed money we needed just to kind of launch it out into the world. And it was fun, and it lasted for 6 months, and it just wasn't taking off, but it just gave me the idea of, wait, there's all these other skill sets that I have, and what a great way to transition into something else. And so I transitioned that into the Witch's Box, which was I'd write some sort of transformational ritual for you for that month, and you get all the things in there you needed: the oils, the candles, the herbs, the beautiful picture, the spell on a beautiful design page, whatever it was. And every month it would be something different, like a new moon ritual or a full moon ritual. And that took off, and that was amazing. And that ran for 5 years. I did that for 5 years, and then I burnt out, and then I just transitioned that same business, just rebranded and turned that into the Holy Witch, where then everything became digital. And yeah.
So what does Priestess of the Holy mean? Are you leading, obviously, as part of your online community and curriculum, you are in a position of leadership, but is that a congregation or a group, or just yourself? Or
it's just me. It's a title as a teacher. I'm not 501(c)(3). There's no church. There's not doing that. Priestess as a designation is usually a holder of a particular either lineage or specific practice, or just a wisdom stream. And holy, because the work that I do is always very feminine, or what is the right word? Woman-centric. Most of what I teach has to do with just reclaiming who you're supposed to be and who you really are, when we strip away all of the projections that the patriarchy has put on you as a woman, and what you're supposed to be and what your value is supposed to be according to something external from you. So part of that reclaiming has to do with the words that we have that speak to the divine, that have been appropriated. I'm going to try to be very sensitive. Appropriated by most Abrahamic religions in our Western culture. And so the idea of holy is something that is sacred, that is special, that is set aside because of its the reverence that it requires, and the respect that it requires, and the beauty that it holds. But because we have been really, for better or for worse, under this patriarchal culture, there are a lot of rules about what gets set aside as holy and what doesn't, what gets set aside as pure and clean and what doesn't. And we know that as women, we've been set aside as not clean, not pure, because we're dirty, because we bleed. And so the word holy, I'm the holder of this idea that you are holy. There's no thing that is not holy, just like there's no thing that is not divine, just like that there's no thing that is not imbued with a worthiness of respect and holding it in its highest esteem. And of course, because my lens tends to be women are at the top of that. Because we're the holders of life, because we are the portal through which life comes from. And even if you couldn't or didn't have children, there is a body remembering around we cultivate, we hold. And does that? Yeah. Okay. And please ask more questions, because again, I can go on forever.
Well, some of what you said there, like the women we're not clean because we bleed. Right. And that reminded me of a conversation we had with Reverend Stephanie Kendall.
Yes.
Podcast.
That's what I was thinking too.
A while back. And so she was coming from a Christian faith lens, but very progressive, and saying something very similar. Like, that is exactly not we are worthy. We are created in her faith system, in God's image. And I think these are things we do not hear enough, regardless of what sort of spiritual or not spiritual at all background you come from, that just by virtue of being a woman, we have inherent value.
100%.
And so I love the words that you use, like reclaiming and sovereignty, and what was the other one?
Agency.
Agency. Thank you. Yeah, because those are things that I feel like in my personal life, it's taken me really to my present age. And I hope I just kind of continue to grow in the knowledge of those things. But those were things that they did not come to me naturally because that's not the way I was taught. Even though I was taught I was valued, and I not like I, was told I was a piece of shit, but that's not it at all. But just in terms of how we really view ourselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's beautiful.
No, it's important. I think that I don't think, in some places this is true, that women are necessarily, I mean, we're pretty free in this country, even though we're losing our freedoms day by day, to express ourselves, to find different ways of experiencing ourselves and seeing each other. It's not that we are being browbeaten with you're dirty, you're unclean, oh, you bleed, and that's why you're less than. It's just kind of embedded in the culture, and it's like the foundational myths that we live from. And so even the idea that, and this is just, I suggest this as a mental exercise, especially for all of, I mean, even if you were not raised in a religious household in this country, we are all deeply influenced by Abrahamic religions, which is Christianity, Christian Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam. Just the idea that we all came from God and God birthed humanity, with God being a man, is such a reversal of everything that we see in evidence in the world around us. There's a cognitive dissonance embedded in the very fabric of what is one of the most intimate parts of being human, which is like your idea of what is holy, what is sacred, what is divine, what is God, right? That's like the deeply intimate thing that most of us have some experience with. And at the beginning of that, or the birth of what that might be for us religiously, we've got something that requires such a disconnect. And that disconnect has been seen pretty much in everything that we see in societal culture, especially when it comes to gender, especially when it comes to women. On top of that, we have a system where, we weren't studying women's biology really until the 70s or the 80s. So even if we're raised in an environment where we're loved and we are told that, you are worthy or you have value or you're loved completely, the fabric of our culture, there's a breakdown there. And we suffer the consequences of it, which can be really unconscious. And yet it manifests in everything, in the way we move through everything as women. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's incipient messaging,
100%.
I've seen just little sort of progressive movements, because it's always been taboo to talk about your periods. And every woman bleeds. And I've seen like these little sort of progressive movements, of, mothers throwing their daughters' period parties and, which, by the way, I think we should have started have menopause party, like the day that you hit that 1 year. We should look at doing a menopause party.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. But just like culturally, I think we're starting to be more open and maybe, less less, right. I don't know.
This is why what you're doing is so important. It's a natural part of our life cycle. What is the problem? There's no issue here. There's no problem here. It's just, and the more we talk about it, the more women get a chance to recognize, oh, I'm actually going through something.
Right.
I'm actually going through a transition, and you're not alone. And also, by the way, it's not just physical, right? The psychological shift and transformation that you're going through is real. And how much better would it be for all of us if we were supporting each other and able to really acknowledge that, no, it's not a one and done. It's a several year process, if not longer, and you're not alone.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. New product idea, Elena.
Oh God.
Menopause party box.
I can't do
one to each one, so it's maybe not the best model.
Listen, I will be your consultant for that, but I cannot do another product-based business ever. I cannot. I burnt out so hard. I can't.
Okay, I appreciate your boundaries.
I can't do it. I'll consult. I have ideas all day long. But yeah, no.
Oh,
I want to keep asking you questions, but I also know we've been going a little while. Can I veer slightly off? It's on the witch topic, but not your quote unquote brand. And forgive me if I'm saying that incorrectly, but it is. So like looking back historically at witch hunts, and we talked about this very early on in the podcast as we were sort of looking at the origins of medical understanding of menopause and tying that back to, and we're going to have a whole other episode just kind of deep diving into this aspect, but women who were healers, women who were midwives, women who practiced anything other than, I am a doctor in a doctor's office, even though women historically couldn't hold that role or get that education.
Right.
Where this label of witch was thrown on it. And of course, we all heard of Salem witch trials and so forth. And it seems to be this word that's a beautiful word from what you're describing that has been appropriated to something ugly or evil and slapped as just a kind of a general label on women that did not fit into whatever their prescribed roles. And that was the longest preamble ever. But I guess like when you're talking about being a witch and educating others, like, is that a bias that you've had to overcome?
Probably.
Like, if you know, you know.
I think, yes, of course. I'm sure that I have. I think that I'm gifted with a certain amount of, I'm not here for you, boo, kind of, do you know what I mean? Like, so any bias that I've received, I've gotten looks. There is someone that we all know. I'm not even going to tell me later. Said a couple of things that were like a little offensive, but it's like, but that's all you. You've got an issue with it, and you don't know how to come out and ask or say anything about it. Do you know? So there have been people who are uncomfortable, or who have certainly every once in a while I get some random person on social media who says something like I'm going to hell, or I mean, in that sense, I've gotten some pushback, but never anything. Never anything dangerous, gratefully, never anything that I have felt I've been hurt by. The people who are interested in what I have to say come, and the people who aren't. And that's, you know what I'm saying? So certainly I was a black sheep in my family. Certainly people that I've dated in the past were like, oh, I freaked out. But thankfully I've never been too bothered by any of that. Because I'm feeling like if it's not your gig, then it's not, and that's cool. And I'm a little less, I used to be a little bit more like soft. I used to soften it a little bit for people in the past. I think that was just a product of me still also being a people pleaser in my 30s and even in my early 40s. There's no way to be a woman, and there's no way to say that you're a witch and not have it be political in some way. And I think that as I get older, I wield it now with a little mischievous, like, let's see where this goes and see how uncomfortable you get, just because, you get your fun when you can. But I also think that it's important to be an outlier if you're an outlier, and do so. And I have enough privilege where I'm not really fearing that I'm going to lose, at least not right now, things that are important to me.
Well, it turns out with my preamble, I could have just said the word witch is political, but instead I had to make it prepared.
Also, woman is political and menopause is political. Sure. Like you can't, I mean, I'm kind of old school feminist from back in the day. Like I'm a 90s witch, the personal is political. Everything that you do in this country, where you spend your money, how you spend your money, who you see, who you don't see, what you say, what you don't say, is a contribution to the greater society. Now, how's that not political?
That's true. That's a very good point.
It's kind of sort of a dirty word now, but I don't know that it necessarily always was. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this would be a much happier country if everyone would just let everyone do themselves. Just
absolutely.
You said you do you, boo. Like,
yeah,
here's me. Here's what I do. If it's not your gig, move along. You know, whether it's witchcraft or Christianity or Islam, you know, Muslim, whatever.
Or talking about menopause at the dinner table.
Yeah. Or salted meatballs. Whatever.
I just feel like it's.
I mean, that's certainly my understanding of the Constitution. Isn't that what we were supposed to try?
It should be. Yeah. It should be. Yeah. Yeah, but it's such, and I don't know if I guess it still points probably back to the patriarchal notion that there is a hierarchy, you know, and I don't know. It's just.
Well, it speaks to what Carrie was saying a little earlier, which is witchcraft, you know, the witch trials and all of this. It's somebody wanted to have control of a commodity for money.
Right.
And so you got to vilify someone in order to take what they were doing, codify it and control it and wield it for capital. I mean, it's part of the problem. Yeah. The other thing too is that I think that bigger society really loves a box and loves to be able to control things and loves predictability. And when we're talking about your health or your body or hormones or bleeding, there's no predictability individually, right? We go to the doctor, and you go to the heart doctor, you go to the internist, or you go to the urologist. Everything is compartmentalized and boxed away. And when you have a different approach that looks at the whole body, the whole person, it's different. It's just harder to codify that in a way that you can replicate and make money off of.
Yeah, that's so true. What does your self-care look like for you and your stage of life where you are, and you know, you're taking the hormones, but are you doing anything else? Are you like, what are you doing?
Tampering your perimenopause?
I'm working on my consistency in my relationship with working out.
Send me that
consistency is challenging because the other part of my self-care, although HRT gave it to me, I mean, I thought that I used to sleep really well, and I was never sleeping well. My sleep life right now is excellent. And it's like better than sex. Like, oh my God, like I had no idea that I wasn't sleeping well. This is like a revolution. But I take time when I can. I am returning to think, like, I just really forgot how to play. I think that there's something really horrible about the entrepreneurial culture where you're just hustling 24/7. And for the last 8 years, that's been my life, where it just does not stop, and the computer's open, and it's like it's 10 o'clock, and I'm still pretending that I'm putting together, and I'm not, because I can't even focus. And you know, I'm sure we've all in some capacity experienced some level of that. So I'm just learning to do things that have nothing to do with money. Yeah, which sounds so kind of gross that this is even an issue, but I'm reading fiction for the first time since Harry Potter came out 100 years ago. Like, everything that I would read had to be educational, had to be for the business, had to be for women, had to be, and I'm reading like fairy smut fiction right now. And it's like the best, funnest thing I've done.
I love that.
Oh my God. It's great. Back to crafting. My girlfriends and I, and then some of the women in the groups that I lead, just like, hey, let's get together on Zoom. And we just craft together on Zoom while we talk smack about TV or whatever it is. Or, so I'm just trying to play. Like, what does that look like? I'm trying to reclaim doing things that lead to nothing other than pleasure. I do have, I go in and out of like a pretty extensive supplement game because I love me a good supplement, and a lot of journaling and sisterhood. I've got a group of women that I love, and spending time with them is probably like life-saving at this point. I don't know that I would, I just want to be here.
I love it.
On any level, really. So that is pretty much everything. We're now on Snapchat. Most of us are. So there's like a Snap chat constantly going back and forth. There's constant voice messages. And I feel like that is a level of nourishment that combats pretty much everything that's happening in the world.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
There is so nothing better than a group of girlfriends.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's essential.
Like it or not, you're part of the MenoPosse now. So
I love it. I know part of the MenoPosse.
We're going to be sending you a box, a
fan.
MenoPosse box.
I mean, you already have a box that you're sending out. So what about a MenoPosse subscription box? I'm telling you.
I don't know. I've heard it's a real grind.
You'd probably do it much smarter than I did, but it it was, yeah.
My goodness. Oh, any other questions for Elena? Before I've got one wrap up one, but I'll have one jump in.
Well, my question is, will you be on the show again? Because I think we just scratched
so
the
fun.
surface,
I would do this all the time.
Like, there's so many other questions and so much more that we want to learn about. Like real quick, what is animism?
Okay, animism is a pretty old thing.
Okay.
Animism is stemming back from pagan era, pre-Christian, pre-everything, where there's a sense that everything's alive in the world. So the stone has an energy that you can communicate with. The trees have an energy that you can communicate with, and communicate in this context, in witchcraft and in animism, is a little bit more beyond. It's not just that I say the words and they say the words back, but there's just this capacity for kind of gelling in an energetic level and communicating, or even the act of being in reverence to the fact that the tree's alive and I'm going to be in reverence to it. So animism is that all things that are, there's two different schools of thought, but all things that are organic and living have a spirit of some sort that can be in communication or engaged with. And then if you want to get really radical, there are people who feel like all things have some sort of intelligent spirit, even your computer. So I don't know. I waver because
my computer does not have an intelligent spirit.
Yeah, my computer's named Chad, and he is not smart.
Oh, I named my computer too. Mine is Celeste 5.0. But yes, I love it.
That's funny. Well, okay, that's very cool. Wow.
Okay, well, if you're going to come back on for another episode, then I'll save the question I was going to ask, because there's really a whole lot more.
Teaser.
Yeah, make a teaser, Carrie. Come on.
Well, I guess so thank you, first of all, for educating us, for sharing your story, and just some really good food for thought in there. I appreciate it. Again, I've missed sitting down at a table and just talking with you.
So long.
This.
Yes. This is fun. Thank you.
Where can people go to find you, learn more about what you do, or say hello, or whatever?
Theholywitch.com. As with most websites, it's a little bit outdated, but it's dated enough or updated enough. There's a newsletter there at the top of the website that you can sign up for, and I send something out usually once a week. And you can reach out to me at elena@theholywitch.com if you have questions.
Wow, ballsy, just putting your email address out there for the world.
I mean, it's a business email. I'm, there's a filter.
In 2 countries.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's not like they're not going to find it on the website.
That's fair. Oh, well, we will have those links up on our show notes over at the MenoPosse.show. This is episode 20 with Elena Rego, so please go check that out. And then check us out on our socials. We're at the MenoPosse Show on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. We're maybe mostly TikTok and Instagram, but anyway. But if you like the show and enjoy listening to it and would like to share it with someone else, we would appreciate that. And if you subscribe to it or hit the little rating button or leave us a review, that helps our visibility grow as we try to get the word out to more women that, as Elena said, and as we've said before, like, you are not alone. You are in your menopause journey, somewhere in it, or know someone who is, and you're not alone. That's the bottom line. So thank you, everyone. And we're here to talk about change for the better.
Together.
Thank you so much. This was fun. I appreciate it.
And we're out.